A poor girl arrived barefoot at the job interview. Millionaire CEO hired her over 25 candidates. Before continue the story, please subscribe to American Stories of Kindness. The sun was just rising when Amara stepped out of her tiny home. The mud brick walls were cracked. The roof leaked when it rained, and the kitchen shelves held only a few scraps of bread. Her little brother was still asleep on a worn mat, and her mother sat silently near the stove that hadn't been lit in 2 days because there was nothing to cook. Amara looked down at her feet. They were rough, scarred, and bare. Her only pair of sandals had broken weeks ago, and there was no money to replace them. Still, today was too important to care about shoes. She smoothed her faded dress, patched in 3 places, and tucked her mother's old bag under her arm. It was the day of the Harrington Enterprises job interview, a position that hundreds had applied for, but only 25 were shortlisted. One of them was Amara. Her mother's eyes were full of worry as she whispered, "Amara, do you really have to go like this? They'll laugh. You'll feel humiliated." Amara forced a smile. "Mama, they already laugh at us because we're poor. But if I don't try, then nothing will ever change. Maybe they won't hire me, but at least I'll know I gave a chance." She kissed her mother's forehead, whispered a prayer, and stepped outside. The path to the city was long and full of stones, but she walked barefoot with determination. Every pebble that cut her skin only reminded her of why she needed this job. She wanted to end her family's suffering. When she reached downtown, her heart skipped a beat. The tall glass tower of Harrington Enterprises rose into the sky, polished and majestic, as if made for another world. Expensive cars lined the parking lot. Men and women in suits, polished shoes, and expensive perfumes walked confidently into the building. Amara looked at her reflection in the glass wall. Her dress was plain. Her bag was torn. Her feet bare. She almost turned back, but then she remembered her mother's tired eyes, her brother's empty stomach. She whispered to herself, "If I don't try, I've already failed." With trembling steps, she entered. The receptionist at the front desk looked up and froze. Her eyes immediately dropped to Amara's feet. The girl's brows furrowed in disapproval. "Excuse me, are you lost?" Amara swallowed hard. "No, ma'am. I'm here for the interview." The receptionist's lips curled. "The interview is for shortlisted candidates only." I am shortlisted," Amara said softly, showing the paper she had carefully folded and kept in her bag. The receptionist hesitated, clearly embarrassed but still doubtful. A few well-dressed candidates standing nearby chuckled. One whispered loudly, "Barefoot?" She must have wandered in by mistake. Amara heard the laughter, felt the humiliation burn in her chest, but she kept her eyes steady. Finally, the receptionist sighed and handed her a visitor badge. She walked into the waiting hall, where all the candidates were gathered. They wore tailored suits, shiny leather shoes, and wristwatches that could probably feed her family for a year. Conversation stopped when she entered. Dozens of eyes scanned her from head to toe, then landed on her bare feet. Snickers, whispers, mocking smiles. But Amara kept her chin up. She sat quietly in the last row, hugging her old bag, trying to ignore the cruel stares. What she didn't know was that the CEO himself, Adrian Harrington, had stepped into the hallway balcony above, watching the candidates. He was a sharp man in his early 40s, respected not only for his wealth, but also for his keen judgment of character. He noticed Amara immediately, not because of her poverty, but because of the strength in her eyes. While others bragged and boasted, she sat quietly, calm and determined. Something about her made him pause. The first round began, a written test. Everyone pulled out pens from shiny cases. Amara had none. She looked around nervously. The girl beside her smirked. "Don't tell me you didn't even bring a pen." Amara blushed. "May I borrow one just for the test?" The girl rolled her eyes but tossed her a spare pen with a laugh. "Good luck, Barefoot." Amara held back tears, but once the paper was in front of her, her focus sharpened. She wrote with honesty and clarity, pouring her thoughts onto the page. Others scribbled quickly, trying to impress with big words. She wrote simply, but with truth. The second round was a group discussion. The topic was announced. What makes a true leader? The candidates jumped in, each trying to sound smarter than the rest. They boasted about degrees, positions, and achievements. Amara listened quietly. When her turn came, a boy snickered. "Let's hear from the barefoot philosopher." Amara's cheeks burned, but she spoke softly. "A true leader is not someone who stands above others. A leader is someone who lifts others up, even when they are weak. Leadership is about understanding struggle, not just enjoying success." The room fell silent for a moment. Even the arrogant candidates glanced at her, surprised. Above, CEO Adrian smiled faintly. Finally came the personal interview. One by one, candidates entered the boardroom, boasting about their achievements. Amara's turn came last. She walked barefoot into the elegant room, where 5 managers sat at a long table. Their eyes immediately went to her feet. One of them chuckled. "Miss, do you think this is appropriate attire for a professional interview?" Amara clasped her hands nervously, but looked straight at them. "I didn't come here to show my clothes or shoes, sir. I came here to show my ability to work hard. I couldn't afford shoes, but I could afford courage. And that's why I'm here." The room grew quiet. One manager leaned forward. "Curious, why should we choose you over candidates with better qualifications?" She took a deep breath. "Because I know what it means to struggle. I know the value of every opportunity. I may not have what others have, but I will give this job everything I have inside me, my dedication, my honesty, my strength. Sometimes life's best lessons don't come from books. They come from survival." For a moment, the panel said nothing. Then a calm voice spoke from the corner of the room. "Thank you, Miss Amara." Her eyes widened. It was him, Adrian Harrington, the CEO himself. She hadn't realized he was sitting quietly at the end of the table, observing. His gaze was steady, thoughtful. He gave her a slight nod. That will be all. Hours later, the candidates gathered in the lobby for the results. Many whispered confidently, mocking Amara as they waited. "She's wasting everyone's time. Maybe the CEO will buy her shoes instead of hiring her." Laughter filled the room. Then Adrian Harrington walked in, holding the list of selected candidates. The room fell silent. "We had 25 candidates today," he began, his voice strong. "Many of you came well prepared. Many of you had excellent resumes. But today, I wasn't only looking for qualifications. I was looking for courage, determination, and heart." He paused, scanning the room. "And the candidate who showed those qualities is Amara." Gasps filled the hall. The arrogant candidates looked at each other in disbelief. Amara froze, tears welling in her eyes. Adrian stepped forward, his voice clear. "Shoes, clothes, degrees, these are easy to acquire. But character, humility, and resilience, those cannot be bought. That is why I choose her." Amara covered her face, unable to stop the tears. For the first time in her life, someone powerful had looked past her poverty and seen her worth. As she walked forward, barefoot on the polished marble floor, the hall echoed not with laughter, but with stunned silence. Adrian shook her hand warmly. "Welcome to Harrington Enterprises. From today, you are no longer just a candidate. You are part of our family." That evening, Amara returned home. Her mother opened the door, worried, expecting to see disappointment. Instead, she saw her daughter's glowing face and tearful smile. "Mama," Amara whispered, holding the appointment letter, "we don't have to worry anymore. I got the job." Her mother broke down, hugging her tightly. Amara looked down at her bare feet. They were still scarred and dusty, but for the first time, she didn't feel ashamed. Those feet had carried her through humiliation, pain, and struggle, straight into a future she had only dreamed of. She knew this was just the beginning.